Welcome to the TJ Malden Leadership Podcast, where we talk about life, leadership, and the gospel. Join us for this special series called Can You Say That?, where we have real conversations on difficult topics.
All right, welcome to today's episode of the TJ Malden Leadership Podcast. And this is going to be, if you've been listening and hanging out with us for a little while, this is going to be a little bit different than usual. We are going to do a series of 10 or so episodes called Can You Say That? All right. And so these will drop just sporadically, randomly. They'll show up in your iTunes, your Spotify, and on YouTube. And today, the very first episode, I met Nick. This is Nick Johnson. Nick, you want to say hey to everybody?
Hello, my friends. How's it going out there?
All right. So I met Nick about 6 months ago or so through our Red Door College ministry here in Tifton, Georgia. Nick attends ABAC, and he is from, tell us a little bit about yourself, just from where you're from right now, just at the beginning.
I'm from Camilla, Georgia.
So Nick is from Camilla, Georgia, and Nick has been diagnosed with
Autism spectrum disorder.
Autism spectrum disorder. So what I wanted to do today, because I know Nick, and Nick and I have a friendship, and he's a part of our Red Door College ministry, I really just wanted to have a conversation. And if it's 10 minutes or an hour, Nick, that's up to you. This can go as long as you want it to, unless we start talking about Vietnam. I know you're really interested in that. We may have to cut that one short. But out of everything, I just really wanted to have a conversation because I think a lot of people have questions about autism. We've seen a rise in autism cases. And I know there's multiple diagnoses, right? And whether it's Asperger's or Rett syndrome or Cannon's, or what your diagnosis is again, could you tell me the phrase?
Autism spectrum disorder.
So you have autism spectrum disorder. And so what I really wanted to do is help people to understand what it's like to be friends with someone or to have conversation with someone or to be comfortable to approach someone with autism. And from your perspective, because I'm neurotypical and a lot of people who walk around are neurotypical, so I really wanted to just understand what it's like to interact from your perspective and how you feel. So what would you say? Do you remember when or how you were diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder?
Yes. It was back when I was in second grade. My parents took me to a place somewhere in Albany where they took me to a doctor. What they did was that, they put me, they gave me some tests to make sure I can understand things well. And when I realized that, the tests were a little bit different than as with results, that's when I realized that I was autistic.
Okay, so you were in the second grade.
Actually, let me phrase that. My mom knew I was autistic from the moment she got to know me when I was born.
Okay.
And but we just didn't get official when I was officially tested for autism.
Until you were in the second grade. So what did that tell me how old you are now.
I'm 23.
Okay, as a 23-year-old, how significant was it for you, or has it been for you to have a diagnosis, to know, okay, my brain works a little differently than a neurotypical person? Has it been helpful for you to have a diagnosis and for you to kind of know what you're working with?
Yes, it actually, because I know the problems with autism,
sure.
that means I can get help whenever I need it.
Okay.
Like tutoring, for example. Whenever I'm having problems with some homework assignments at ABAC, what I do is I just go to a tutoring center.
Okay, so if you don't mind me asking, what are some of the difficulties or some of the challenges, like you described, that you experience having autism or being on the spectrum of autism?
With pleasure, TJ.
Yeah.
I actually have a hard time comprehending what people are trying to tell me.
Okay.
I also have a hard time, I get fixated on things that can stay there for quite a while,
Sure.
and the problem is it can get annoying if it's the right person that I talk to for too long.
So that I know that I'm interpreting this correctly, you saying you get fixated on something, maybe in conversation with someone,
and then I can sorry to interrupt you or anything.
No, that's
but
okay.
But to be honest with you, mostly with my parents and all. Like when I tell them the same thing over and over and over again, that's when the things can get a little out of whack, like out of hand, I meant.
I got you. So you get fixated on things and you kind of repeat the same stories or the same set of facts over and over?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what would you, do you mind me asking, what are some of your favorite things that you've become fixated on? What are some of your favorite subjects? Say in school, what's your favorite subject?
My favorite subject has to be like the class on Vietnam, which was taught by Frescott Brown.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get too fixated on it, but like I do like to look at some particular planes that are used in that era, like the F-4 Phantom, for example.
So you love the F-4 Phantom.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't you make a Lego? Okay, maybe I'm wrong about this. Didn't you make a model plane or a Lego model plane? Or you painted it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because you paint as well.
Actually, it was a helicopter that you're thinking of, I'm pretty sure.
That's right. So was it anything about Vietnam that just kind of struck your interest, or was it just the planes, more than just the planes happened to be in a Vietnam class?
Actually, what makes me get like Vietnam so much is like it was the first time, in my opinion, when helicopters were used for attack. Like gunships, like the Huey Hog, or even the Cobra gunship.
Okay, your knowledge on planes and all of those things is so much further expanded than mine. I'm just going to take your word for it, Nick, because you're pretty much an expert when it comes to Vietnam aircraft warfare. Right?
I'll tell you something else too, and I never knew about this until one of my professors taught me this. It turns out the F-4 Phantom, because of the way it's shaped, it's also called double ugly.
Double ugly. It's fantastic. I think I had a girlfriend one time that called me that.
Why?
No, I'm just kidding.
I know. I just love playing the game.
So, Nick, let me ask you this, if you don't mind me asking. Has there been things that, when it comes to your interaction with those who are neurotypical like myself, what are some of the things that maybe have you felt misunderstood at times, or things that even unknowingly that myself or another neurotypical might say or even do around you that makes you uncomfortable or feel hurt in any way?
Well, I'll be honest with you, TJ. It's a little bit more complex than that. Like, because like back then, I used to get teased all the time, not in a bad way, but like they didn't realize, like, okay, let me rephrase this. Like,
sure.
They didn't know I was autistic. My classmates back in high school, until they found out like about the senior year of high school.
Yeah.
They were pretty surprised to find that out.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did they treat you differently after they realized that you had a diagnosis?
Yes. Ever since then, like they didn't treat me as badly as I thought they were. Like, I'm not saying that they actually did mistreat me. They just teased me too much.
I got you.
And they think I know I'm an easy target.
I got you. So you would say then, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I feel like you're saying is, because you were born perfectly by God's standards, but different. There's no doubt that your brain functions differently than a neurotypical person's does, but that's the way God created you. That's the way God fit, your neuro responses in your brains. The way that your brain, your brain fires, right? Your neurons fire in your brain, and you the way that the pathways of your brain work are so different than mine, but they're so unique and perfectly created by God. So what you're saying is, because of that, because you've experienced life differently, you've experienced some bullying in your life.
Yeah. And there is one girl that mistreated me like in a way that I can never understand, but I don't like to talk about her name in front of people.
That's okay. We probably shouldn't do that, actually. So
exactly.
that'll be okay.
But I will tell you this.
Sure.
Since you brought what God did for what God made me of.
Yeah.
Turns out the reason I think he put me on this planet was to be a friend to everyone.
I think that's a wonderful perspective. Yeah, and I don't disagree. I know that our opportunity to meet and to have conversation through the Red Door Ministry, I know that it's filled my life with joy. Every conversation I've been able to have, and that's why I wanted to introduce you to the men and women and boys and girls, people that listen to this podcast. I wanted them to be introduced to you, because I think sometimes people, especially neurotypical people who are just busy about their lives, sometimes maybe people are afraid to interact with someone that's on the spectrum, or they don't know what they're going to get. And I wanted you to have a voice for the community, for the autistic community, those who are on the spectrum, to allow people to see that you have so much to offer the world, and your life is a gift. And that is, I just love that we're able to be friends, and that you are a good friend. So, what would you say, if we can shift gears just a little bit? What are some of your favorite things in life? Just to get to know, so people can get to know you a little bit more. Other than Vietnam, what are some of the other favorite things in your life?
Oh, I got several hobbies for you, TJ.
Tell me.
First of all, as you said before, I like to paint.
And you're a great painter.
Yes, sir, I am. I like to bowl, do lip sync battles, karaoke. I also like to rap battle, like we did one time.
You are very good at rapping. I mean, I will give it to you. You have a way to put words together, and you're a great painter. I was blown away. You painted the helicopter, and was there a shark?
Yeah,
the shark was pretty fantastic as well. Do you remember my favorite animal?
Yeah, it was. Oh my gosh, I do not remember.
You don't remember my favorite animal? What's your favorite animal?
White rhinoceros.
That's right. Mine was the killer whale.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's killer right there.
Is this killer?
Yeah,
I love it. That's good.
there is one other hobby that I like to do,
Tell
and
me.
this is like my best hobby of all: socialization.
Socialization. So for you, being on the spectrum, someone with autism, you would say that as it's difficult for you. You said that earlier, that sometimes it's difficult for you to comprehend what people are saying to you, and even sometimes for you to get your ideas across. That's difficult, but you still love socialization.
Yeah.
You still love being in conversation and friendship with people.
Yeah, and there's actually like 5 friends from ABAC that I actually want to mention to you that have been my key friends in my life.
I would love to hear it.
And also to 5 friends from Andrew College, my old college before I came here.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, number 5 is Peyton Hart, who goes to ABAC. The reason she's number 5 for me is like she danced with me at homecoming dance, was usually hard to come around.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I never had a friend like Peyton Hart.
That's great. Number 4.
Maggie Mullis.
Maggie Mullis.
Because like she asked me to do some bowling with her because like she's very competitive in sports.
Yeah.
Like, and I never knew that was, and like that's actually how we got to know each other as good buddies.
Bowling. Number 3.
Maggie Yates.
Maggie Yates.
The reason why she's number 3 is because like she's been a huge fan of my jokes.
Very cool.
And we've been good buddies ever since. I told her last time we saw each other at Red Door, like she's going down my personal history book as like my biggest fan of jokes at ABAC.
Fantastic. Number 2. I think I know who number 1 is, but who's number 2?
Towns Etheridge.
Towns Etheridge.
Like he may be one of the newer friends I've made at ABAC.
Yeah.
But he's actually helped me through a lot of problems before in the past.
That's awesome. Towns actually wants to go to school for counseling and for like therapeutic horticulture, which is very interesting to me, using plants to plants and gardening. I'm probably butchering this if Towns, I know he's listening. He's probably like, TJ, this is not what I'm doing at all. But he wants to introduce plants with therapy. I don't know. It's something like that. I don't know. You could probably, Nick, tell people better. So who's number 1?
Carly Williams.
Carly Williams. Carly is a softball player at ABAC. She's an amazing softball player.
Yeah.
She also is a Jesus lover. She loves Jesus, and she's just a really good person, man.
Yeah.
She's really cool.
And not only that, she's also the reason she's the top friend in my list at ABAC is because she's one of the pioneers in of my friendship at ABAC.
That's very cool.
She's also helped me through some problems whenever I needed anything.
Yeah.
And for example, she helped me through a problem when I was faced with family loss when my step-grandfather passed away.
I got you.
And I'll tell you this, she's been my Valentine for my first ABAC Valentine at ABAC before.
That's fantastic, man. That's Carly. Look at you. All right. That's awesome, Nick. So shifting gears one more time, Nick, if someone was thinking about or knew someone that was on the spectrum, right? Someone was dealing with autism, whether it was Canaan's or Asperger's or Rett's or whatever different level of the spectrum someone was on, what would you say to that person, to a neurotypical that has an autistic person in their life, or they maybe have been reserved in their connection and communication with those who are on the spectrum. Is there anything you would say to that person? Any encouragement that you would give them?
Yes, they can always come to me because, like, what I mean by this is that I'm actually highly experienced in like having autism. Like although that's not, I wouldn't call that an experience. Like, but I can tell you this: people
Yeah.
who with autism are very different from other people. Because, like, for one thing, people with autism are usually some of the smartest people of all. But like the type of autism that I have, although I only said the general stuff about this disorder that I told you about.
Yeah.
But this type of autism that I have is called high functioning autism.
Gotcha. So have you ever had a job?
I have. I actually worked at my sister's pet shop over this past summer. And since you brought up jobs, I
Yeah.
actually have an internship this summer at the Georgia Museum of Agriculture.
That's fantastic. What are you going to be doing? Do you know what you're doing yet?
Oh yeah, I'm working with people who are just like me in autism.
Really? So you're sitting here living proof that someone on the spectrum can not only be a good friend and a good listener and a good conversationalist, but they can be a good employee. Right? So we should be, what you're telling me is that we should be more open and more kind and more considerate to those in this world that God has blessed with a gift of autism, right? Because we don't think of it that way most of the time. You know, in my world, you know, and my daughter has limitations, right? She was born differently. Hers are more orthopedic than they are neurological, but God made her that way. And she's a gift to me. And God made you this way. So you're a gift to the world. And I so badly, Nick, want people to just see and be able to understand that people that are different than us, that we would consider, and we don't like to use the word, right? People with disability, people with limitations or challenges are no less of a person. They're a beautiful creation by God, put on this planet to do amazing things for His glory. And I'm so grateful that you are willing to have this conversation and talk with me, and just willing to always put on a smile and have, you know, just to be a friend to people. It's really cool.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. Socializing with new people is actually a little bit like makes me a little nervous because like you never met that person before until you get to know them quite a bit. But like today, I'm not as nervous as I usually am.
Yeah, when you came in, I asked you, I said, Nick, how nervous are you? You said, 4.5 out of 10. It was 4.5 out of 10. You've got confidence and poise, and you can articulate well. And I think you're doing great at comprehending the things asked of you. So real quick, rapid fire questions. What's your favorite food?
Cheeseburgers.
What's your favorite music?
Rock and roll. I mean, country music, like the song "How Bad Do You Want It" by Tim McGraw.
Okay, perfect. All right, what's your favorite? What's your favorite movie?
The new movie Jurassic World Dominion which just comes out. Wait, are you looking for one that's already out?
Whatever you want to give me.
The movie that involves prehistoric predators.
Gotcha. Is that why you drew teeth, like a mouth and teeth on your helicopter?
Well, actually, it was already on the helicopter when I saw the reference picture.
I got you.
But I'll tell you something else too. That helicopter has a mouthful of teeth with a bad attitude.
That's it. Absolutely. Well, listen, Nick, I'm so grateful that you would spend a little bit of time with me. Is there anything else that you want for those that are listening in, those that are thinking through just this podcast and listening in on us? Is there anything you want to say to the world as being someone that's on a spectrum, someone that has been diagnosed and you own your diagnosis as autistic? Is there anything you want to say to the people that have given us their time to listen?
Yes, I want to give some honorable mentions to some of my old buddies at Andrew College.
That's right. I missed that earlier. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I would like to thank my 5 friends: Zach Foster, Taylor Martin, Sarah Merrill, Jamal Perry, and the one and only Kennedy Fisher.
The one and only Kennedy Fisher.
Because like the reason she's the top person on my list at Andrew College is because like she was one of the first new people I met in my second year at Andrew College. And also too, on the first day of school at breakfast, she's the first person to sit with me there.
That's really cool.
And not only that, she's also a feisty competitor in a good way.
That's
Like,
awesome.
and if you want her on a kickball team, my advice is you better take her because like she is one of the most aggressive competitors in the whole world.
Who doesn't love kickball, Nick?
Nobody.
Everybody loves kickball, right?
Who doesn't love kickball? You're right.
Yeah, everybody loves kickball. Okay, so before we go, because we're going to go here in a minute, but what are some of your dreams? What could you just share maybe some of the dreams that you have in this life?
My dream is become a military historian for World War II. Because I'll tell you something, I actually have an M1 helmet that's from World War II, thanks to my good dad.
That's awesome. This is a good dad. You got an M1 helmet from World War II, and you would like to be a historian.
Yes, sir.
And you feel like ABAC, the school here in Tifton, so for those of you that don't know, ABAC is Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College. And it's not just a farm school. There's some great scientists and future historians that attend ABAC as well, right? Awesome. Yep. Was there anything else that you want people to know or hear other than your dream of being a historian one day?
I got a joke for you.
Please tell me the joke.
And this is something, actually I got two jokes for you. And actually this is something my buddy Jonathan Chris mentioned to me. Have you ever heard the skunk joke, TJ?
The skunk joke? No.
You don't want to hear it anyway. It stinks.
It's a pretty good one.
And like this is something that another buddy of mine from BCM told me. Someone named Jarrett. I don't know his last name, but here's the joke.
Okay.
You ever heard of the construction joke? I can't tell you right now. I'm still working on it.
It's one to build on.
Yep. That's a counter joke right there.
It is. Cool. Well, Nick, listen, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes today. Thank you for being on the TJ Mullen Leadership Podcast. We always talk about life, leadership, and the gospel, and we believe every life is valuable, and God has created every person for His glory. And so I just want you to hear that I am grateful for the time you have given me to sit and talk, and I am so grateful for your life. Blessings on you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you, TJ.
Thanks a lot.
See y'all later.
Thank you so much for listening to this special episode of Can You Say That on the TJ Malden Leadership Podcast, where we talk about life, leadership, and the gospel. If you enjoyed this episode, share with a friend. For more content, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you would like more information or have questions about the episode you heard today, please email us at tjmaldenleadershippodcast@gmail.com.